All right. I don't know what episode this is, but welcome back to 10 Away.
I
Uh,
think it's 18.
is it 18? That's what I was gonna say, but I wasn't confident. But yeah, for the intro, I have two things. My first one, I'll just get out of the way because it's not really NASCAR related, but I highly recommend going to see the new Naked Gun movie.
Is it
Um,
good?
oh yeah, it's really good. And I did a double feature this weekend with my friends. We watched the original Naked Gun, and then like within an hour, we were watching the new one. And so watching them side by side, granted I'd already seen the original. It's one of my favorite comedies, and just the whole Naked Gun, just that whole time of comedy is one of my favorite. It is my favorite comedy. But yeah, I was kind of describing that this new Naked Gun could be on the same shelf as those, and I think that's a honestly a pretty high achievement for that style of comedy because it's not really popular anymore. But definitely worth a a ticket to go see it at the theater if you haven't already. It's a good date night movie too if you're into that.
Okay.
Not everybody's into that kind of comedy, but yeah, definitely go see it. And then the other thing, which I don't even know why this is an issue, but apparently people aren't happy with Lee Diffie being in the booth. And it's really just he didn't say anything or do anything.
It's
He's
just
just
him.
they just hear an accent. It's kind of what it seems like. I'm not going to put all the assumption on that, but there was one vocal old pit reporter from years ago. I don't even know his name, but like he made an unnecessary comment on it. Like his whole tweet, if I remember, was just kind of pointless. Uh, but yeah, I just want to point
Was
out
it the
that
one about the guy saying if I wanted to listen to someone with an accent, I'd go watch F1?
something like that, it was like so dumb because in the end,
Yeah, I
it's
saw the
like
tweet, but I don't know why it really.
NASCAR's had multiple like foreign or international commentators throughout the years, and to be honest, Lee Diffie is a top tier commentator. And I'm not gonna say as the NASCAR community we should be honored to have him, but like he's a great commentator.
I like
For
Lee.
yeah, for someone who's not like was born in the sport like Dale Jr., who we all love, Lee Diffie really makes a race for 13th place interesting and exciting, which we saw this past weekend. And yeah, I don't know why there's an issue. I'm a Diffie supporter all the way. I'm pro Diff. So, but yeah, let's get into it. All right, Cup Series or not the Cup Series, but just the Iowa weekend is done, and it wasn't the most entertaining weekend by any means. Um, a lot of strategy. That was probably the most interesting part. I kind of have been using the phrase chaotically boring because when I was watching the races, and granted, especially for the Xfinity, that was a bit spotty. And I kind of had to fill in both races with watching the highlights because I just ended up having to do some stuff, especially work this weekend. And but yeah, like watching it, I was like, I don't know who is on the right strategy to win and at the end. But how was the Xfinity race from your point of view? But first off, I'll say my scheme shout outs, the 42, the 44, and the 88. The 88, I like the paint scheme in general, but the KOA sponsor kind of throws me back a little bit. But
Does kind of have a vintage look, doesn't it?
a vintage look, but also the sponsor just was part of our childhood growing up. Stayed at a couple KOAs here
Mm.
and there. And also that's a company I thought would have gone out of business by now. I feel like camping's not what it used to be, but anyways, yeah, but and also I don't know. I've kind of found that if a car runs up front and they highlight it a lot, I kind of just warm up to the paint scheme more and more. And still, schemes definitely are doing that as of late.
That
So,
is true.
but yeah, how was the Xfinity race for you?
It was kind of up and down. I know we didn't have the best car, but we made a lot of adjustments. Like poor Alvin, I think he had to probably crank like 10 rounds into the
And
car.
Alvin is your is
It's our
the
tire carrier for
oh,
the
okay.
Xfinity, and he's my tire carrier for my truck too.
Oh,
We
okay.
um we transition over from truck to Xfinity together. Some of us do, some of us don't.
Hmm.
But poor Alvin, I think his shoulder might have been shot after how many rounds we put in
Yeah.
that car.
Well, is it tough? I've never actually thought about this. Is it tough to turn it for that adjustment? Like, is it a
It
hard?
it all depends, I guess. Sometimes it's a little bit stiffer than others.
Hmm.
So it depends on newness or if they've lubed that wedge wrench, that bolt up or
Oh,
not.
okay. Oh,
But
okay. Yeah, I've that's one thing I'm curious about the internal. I know it kind of like shifts the balance, but
mhm.
I'm just like, what is it? I want to see a animation of it. Is kind of what I'm saying.
That would be
But
pretty cool. Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's not, it's usually not stiff. Sometimes it's a little bit stiff, but no, it's not all
Mhm.
that bad.
Okay. But yeah, y'all weren't. I don't know where y'all finished.
22nd, I believe.
Okay. Y'all were up towards the front at one point, but that's again like what I kind of said before. The race was just kind of in a way a bit everywhere. There's a lot
Yeah.
of yeah, a lot of green flags. I don't know. The Xfinity race, I've always kind of looked at the Xfinity series right now as the one foot in the old dynamic of NASCAR with how the car works in races. And I think it put on a better show at Iowa, just in the way that you could pass. Because my goodness, you get to the Cup Series and like we'll get to that later. I'll just save it. But um, yeah, nothing really exciting happened in the Xfinity race besides, I think towards the end, whenever Matt DiBenedetto wrecked and there was an oil
Hmm.
on the track. I really don't know why they didn't call that caution. It reminded me of New Hampshire in like 2019, whenever it rained in the first turn, and
Yeah, and
like
they all
three
drove
gift
off in the
cards. Just
yeah, they just
yeah.
totaled it.
Sorry, Lucy was trying to shove her way into my legs and like sit underneath me. Um, but yeah, it reminded me of that. And Jamie McMurray on the broadcast was like, "Why are they not calling this? Why are they not calling this?" And Jesse Love got loose. It wasn't anything that really ruined his day, but it took Brandon Jones out of contention if there was
Hmm.
any. And so it was one of those things where it's like NASCAR was like, like we were all like, "What?" It
Yeah, why
was
wouldn't you throw up? See, I'll be honest, I didn't know that there was anything on the track. I think
yeah.
our spotter said there's a possibility. So in
Mhm.
my head, I wasn't sure if there was any fluid down on the track or not.
It was one of
But
those things where all the signs were there because Matt DiBenedetto had clearly hit the wall pretty hard. He was slow on the bottom, driving it, limping it around, and like his front end was damaged significantly. If you were to see it, you'd be
yeah,
like, "Oh, that looks like it would have been a caution." And I'm pretty sure while he had a lot of smoke coming out of the front end, but like I don't know, to me it was kind of just either way, just a caution, let alone it's like yeah, that's why you throw the caution just to make sure it's safe to drive on. And yeah, they
right.
didn't. To me, it's kind of like NASCAR's fault for Brandon Jones' race being a sh shortcoming for what they. I thought they had a solid day going, but
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, unfortunate. But I guess there's not too much to talk about with the Xfinity series besides the one thing was Hocevar driving the 11. Obviously, Josh
Did they
Williams got
finish?
a
Well,
sixth.
where did he sixth?
Sixth, yeah. He wasn't like up front ever, but he was in the top 10 most of the day.
Mm.
But yeah, Josh Williams getting cut from that, that's a bit of a heartbreaker. I know you used to pit for him, and I got in through to some races watching you pit Josh's car. So yeah. And he's also just a likable
He's a
guy.
genuine, yeah. He's Kenny Powers in NASCAR. He just
Yeah.
who doesn't like Josh, you know?
Yeah. But I hope he lands on his feet. I'm sure he's got good sponsorship behind him to take with
Hmm.
him, but yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm curious though to see how the 11 performs with them bringing in some Cup Series drivers to kind of find some improvements so they can maybe get. But yeah, we'll see how McDowell perform. He's doing the 11 next week at the Glen, so we'll see how that goes. But
Okay.
yeah, a bit of a bummer for Josh Williams. I would say yesterday I would have said bummer for Caden Honeycutt, but now we've kind of seen that it was more of just like a transition rather than just getting cut, go find another ride. He kind of already had something lined up. So
Oh,
I
I didn't
think
even catch that. Where is he going?
yeah, essentially, from what I understand, I don't necessarily know the communications that happened at what's the team that he drives for his name. I get
Oh,
them,
Nice.
I get Nice and Young kind of mixed up. Um, but yeah, anyways, he got cut, but it came out that he already had plans to pretty much join Toyota next year. And
Hmm.
but yeah, now he's gonna, I think after Watkins Glen, drive the 52 truck for the rest of the year until
I mean,
Friesman's
that
back.
kind of,
It
yeah,
kind of
this
works out.
Stu, I don't know what's gonna happen with Stewart. I was told that that injury that he has is like
Yeah.
it's bad. Like he might not walk the same
Oh wow.
bad
I didn't know it was that
because it's
bad.
his pelvis.
Yeah.
So, he's gonna be like severe rehab for a while once he's able to even
Yeah.
maneuver. So,
Yeah, watching that wreck, man, that was crazy.
well, see, I saw that wreck. What race was it? The night at Dover or the weekend after Dover? I got
Hmm.
home, I was laying in bed and I remember seeing it, and I'm not super close to Stewart, but I pitted him 2 years ago.
Mm,
So if I saw him at Target or Walmart, he would have easily said, "Hey, what's going on, Blake?"
yeah.
And I probably would have talked to him
Why are
briefly,
you in
but
Canada?
yeah. Um,
You know,
when
you
I
go to
saw it,
your
it
target
was
runs go to is going to Canada.
he. I saw it so late at night that I was like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can find out any answers tonight. What's going on?" And then the next day, I saw that they did an update and said like he's in the hospital. He's got a pelvic fracture
Yeah,
and some
leg
cracked
fracture.
ribs,
I think there's something
femur.
maybe
Yeah, it's a
it's
lot. But
yeah,
when we were talking about it at practice, they were saying those are injuries that take a long time to
yeah.
heal. So um, I was uh,
And
I
I'm
was
sure
very
it doesn't
devastated
help
for him.
with I'm sure a pelvic fracture doesn't help when your job is to sit in a vibrating car for hours on end. So, and not even like a normal vibrate, like an extremely vibrating car. Like I'm sure the discomfort would be immense, and especially if you got into
Yeah.
a wreck,
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of next year he's also
a bit in and out.
yeah, if he takes his time coming back to drive.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, like this season, I don't remember his season last year, but I mean, this season he's got to win, so he's locked into playoffs and, you
He's
know,
locked in the playoffs. That's the first time I think in a few years he was locked into the playoffs. And
yeah,
he's been a lot faster overall this season, so it's a real bummer for the
yeah.
52 guys and that whole team. So,
But
Stu,
I
you
mean,
hear
hey,
this? Hope to see you back soon, man. Hope you speedy recovery.
absolutely. And I mean, that's the risk every driver takes. I mean, we saw it with Alex Bowman years ago, and not Chase Elliott. He wasn't in any sort of snowboarding event, but I mean, Larson definitely puts himself in harm's way racing those midgets, or not midgets, but sprint cars. But anyways, yeah, to kind of wrap up the top 10 of the Xfinity, obviously Sam Mayer gets a win. That's a good motivation for Haas. I'm curious to see if this does anything for Mayer because he's someone that's really good all
Dude,
around.
speaking of them winning, we waited at the airport for that crew for like an hour and
Oh, so
45
we're not happy
minutes.
for him anymore.
No, I'm happy for them. I
I'm
told everybody
not.
when they got on the plane, I was like, "Hey, good job, guys!" Like I was giving them high fives, but we were all like, "All right, take off. Let's go. We've been sitting here for 2 hours. Come on."
That is one thing I guess fans don't really realize is you have to wait on the winners and
They just happened to be all the Stuart Haas guys. I shouldn't say Stuart Haas, the Haas factory guys.
yeah.
They happened to be on our flight home. 37 total people were on the plane, and we had to wait for 15 of them for a
Uh,
minimum of like an hour and a half. And we
dang.
were just sitting there. We'd already ate. I was watching Quarterback on Netflix. And then all of a sudden, my pit crew buddies that either pitted Sheldon Creed or Sam Mayer, they start getting on the plane. We're all looking out the window. We're like, are we about to go? Another like 10 minutes. Here they all finally start to show up. And we're like, thank God. Because the thing is, in Iowa, we used to be able to fly in right behind the racetrack.
Yeah.
Well, now we have to land in Des Moines and then drive over 45 minutes.
Oh.
So we drive 45 minutes from there to get to the track and 45 minutes back
So
later.
they
So
they probably partied for like 30, 45 minutes after the win.
well, the catch is you got to go through tech. It's not so much
Mm,
partying and stuff because usually it's probably within 15 minutes you're done doing all that and you start to push the car to tech. But it's the thing that really sucks is you got to wait for them to drive after they've already done tech for like an hour, give or take. So if we were able to fly right behind the track, we would have waited about an hour. But
yeah.
with it being that we have to drive 45 minutes, it was like an hour and a half.
Well,
So,
well, yeah, like I said, I am curious to see what this does for Sam Mayer. I feel like Haas, I hope it kind of gives Haas a new life. I've Ford had a dry spell apparently within Xfinity, so I think this was their first win in a minute. Not quite sure on the statistics of that, but yeah, it was kind of cool to see him win. Like I said, though, he is someone that will win at road courses, has won at road courses, is competitive there. So I'm curious to see. Although, when you have an SVG and a Zillich around, I'm
good
curious to
luck.
see if he'll get third.
Yeah. Thrill races for who finishes third behind those two guys.
Yeah. Um, but to look at the top 10 again, I mean, Ryan Sieg had a bounce back. He finishes eighth, but he spun early on with Austin, not Hill, but Dillon, Austin Dillon. And then also Harrison Burton. Great battle for that team to finish fifth.
Hmm.
Yeah, I actually thought they might have shot to win, but yeah, as it played out towards the end, they just weren't, didn't have the car to keep up, and they maintained fifth. But yeah, that's a bubble team that really needed a finish like that. And I guess Christian Eckes finishing 10th. I don't think of him as having a bad season. I've always like when the race is going, he seems to be someone that's moving up or maintaining, and I guess he just has some bad luck come his way. But yeah, again, I just with the Xfinity race, and we'll get into this with the Cup race, like there wasn't a truly dominant car with at least one that didn't come with problems. Like Ross Chastain and Zilic both had issues. Zilic on pit road and Chastain just on the track, which uh Justin Allgaier gets taken out by a Cup Series driver again. And granted, this wasn't for the lead. I don't think Allgaier had a car to win, but still, it was just like he Chastain gets into him and spins him.
And their teammates.
Yeah, and their teammates. So, well, I mean, I will say that 17 car is kind of like a,
It's kind of like a satellite
yeah,
junior car.
it doesn't help, especially going for
No.
the win. So, all right, well, let's just get into the Cup race. And yeah, William Byron finally saves enough corn to get himself a win. Um, it's
That
kind of
was
crazy that it's his first win since Daytona.
I thought he had a win since then, so
It
that was
feels
kind of
like it.
strange.
Yeah, like
I mean, that team's super consistent, so I mean, they're always on TV and they're always getting, showtime, but I didn't realize he hadn't won since Daytona.
well, that's the thing. Like the conversation around William Byron, particularly in the past, maybe six races, has been he hasn't been finishing well, and he lost the points lead at one point. But nobody was really talking about. It was more of like a reminder, like, oh, he hasn't won since Daytona. Like he's leading, always up front, so much, getting good finishes. I mean, like Darlington was his until a bad pit stop, and yeah, it's just one of those things where you're like, oh, that is kind of odd, but. Yeah, I don't even know what to make of the cup race. It was boring for most of it. I mean, just
Very
playing out.
dull.
It was oddly dull, but like for the amount of cautions they had towards the end, like I don't know. I guess it just didn't feel like good cautions in a way. Like it just seemed like people running over each other trying to get ahead. And that's the thing. I don't remember this being a huge issue at Iowa last year. But this year it just felt like no one could really pass. And we really saw this at the end where Blaney clearly had better tires, better just overall car than the top three. But he immediately gets to Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski, and he just
Couldn't do
couldn't
anything.
pass them. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's
so,
the ongoing thing. I was asking Case, my Xfinity crew chief, I said, dude, what would make those cars better for passing? And he said, you got to get rid of the being sealed to the ground, like the downforce,
yeah,
raise the ride heights a little bit, and let the. Because I asked him, does it have anything to do with the diffuser or all the carbon fiber underneath? He said that you just got to get ride heights back. So like you look back at 2005, 2006, where ride heights were still kind of a thing. Let the air from the car in front to the car behind you play an effect.
yeah,
And I said, okay, so that's the one thing I know that they can do to make a change. But I also think that the one thing they can make an immediate change like this upcoming weekend would be to give it horsepower. Because if
yeah.
you can have a little bit more horsepower and put more throttle down, it might be able to allow you to catch the guy in front of you to drive off of a corner to just a little bit more speed, momentum. But I just think that you gotta change something because everybody in the comments are just roasting NASCAR. They're like, why is it a guy can go half throttle on
Literally,
140,
they showed the
144
graphic
laps
of Byron going only up to half throttle
and
but in the last three
you
laps.
can't catch the guy? The guy pulled away. Like, how does that make sense? And I'm not trying to bash NASCAR. I think at some point, you've tested this idea and it went stale very fast.
Yeah,
And to me, it makes for a race that why do you you almost need to pull a Lightning McQueen and just not pit, just get fuel only and go just take the lead and drive around. Like you can probably hold the lead apparently with what this car can do. As long as
yeah.
you got track position, it doesn't matter. Track position and clean air.
We saw
So
this issue at Pocono, and we were kind of seeing it at Dover a little bit. And so it's kind of been a topic, I mean, for a while now, but also a bit more intensely the past couple months. But and also at Indy. Indy is just kind of an odd track in general. It's a kind of a narrow track, particularly when it comes to the good lane. But yeah, it's one of those things where I read today that like we won't see any horsepower changes this year. Earliest would be 2026 at select tracks, and so I'm curious to see that experiment. But it's also one of those things where it's like tire fall off wasn't that big of a deal, and apparently they brought a new tire, and so it's just I keep hearing about these races, and from a fan's perspective, it's kind of confusing. A fan that doesn't really know much about cars and stuff. And it's like, okay, so you tested a new tire here, but it doesn't seem like it did anything. Um,
Hmm.
and then also from a fan's perspective, we talk about can't pass, but Bubba Wallace finished sixth, and he came back from, I think, almost 2 laps down at one point, but from like 30 something to sixth by the end. So it's like you could pass apparently, and then Brad Keselowski passes William Byron towards the end of stage one, but he got really creative with it, and it seemed like a pretty hard pass to make. And Byron also got loose. I don't know if that was from Brad or just whatever, but it's just one of those things where it's like we complain about not passing, but then it's like clearly people were passing, but it's really in that top five where the passing becomes really hard when it becomes a bit more stretched out, I think. But yeah, I think all we can do is hope for change. Hope that NASCAR's listening, which I do think they are, but I also think they love their parody.
I don't
But
know.
but
It's
an
confusing.
Iowa race is not a parody. Like it's genuinely just a problem. It's not like it's a performance issue, not a it's a bad thing more than it is like a good thing. I think Daytona, they're like, well, we're still getting the big wrecks, and that's what you can put on TV. So we'll see though. I am hoping that they increase the horsepower because I am curious to see if that does really change. But yeah, like I said, chaotically boring in a way. My wife came home towards the end and she saw Chase Elliott at the front, and then Chase Elliott pits, and she's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "To be honest, I don't even know. I don't know who's on what strategy." It's kind of like it kind of kept me on the edge of my seat because I was like, for one, Byron was significantly low on fuel, but then also like, who is on the good strategy? Will a better person who took better tires prevail? And I just didn't know enough at the moment to really see any sort of outcome. And but one thing I did want to note is Brad Keselowski and Austin Cindric's day. Austin Cindric had a worse day towards the end than Keselowski, but Brad Keselowski had his best race of the season probably. Um,
Hmm.
First time in a while he led like a lot of laps and genuinely may have had the best car, just not really at the end. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight them because it's just two drivers you really don't see much of right now. Two drivers you do see a lot of though is Larson and Elliott. I don't know if you saw their little momentarily like they it was just like weird. I think Elliott wasn't trying to be aggressive, but like they both were shooting for the same gap. Larson got the bad end of it, and then I think the same thing happened again, and whether that was intentional or not, I can't tell. But yeah, it's like these drivers, these teammates cannot get away from each other half the time. Cut to Fontana years ago, where Larson just straight up hard blocks Elliott. And there's just been moments like that since. And so it's like two drivers that I don't think they mean to get in each other's way, but it's like they're always just inconveniencing each other, is what it feels
Yeah.
like. And I don't know if you ever heard the snippet from Larson's radio, but like usually it's kind of known that Larson's a pretty calm guy. He can get past stuff pretty quickly on the track, but I think he said 3 words that were audible for TV. And I couldn't even make out what he was saying, but he was just talking really about just trying to be a good competitor and a good teammate and how it's getting him nowhere. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of funny because I was like, I haven't seen this Larson in a minute. And then he went out and won his sprint car race last night, so maybe it'll help him.
He took out some frustration.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I am hoping that Iowa's a good track, and it's another track that I have the same feeling about as Dover, where it's like this could be a great track, and it's almost there with the car. The car was the issue, not the actual track, in my opinion. Um, I am curious about the parts that they repaved and how they will age too. Um, so I mean,
How
we
they'll
already,
try transition.
yeah, we did see like a huge difference in the color of them, but yeah, it almost reminds me of similar issues with Texas, bump wise, and just trying to age the track and if it's going to be good or bad. But yeah, I don't know. To look at the top 10 though, I mean, I already talked about Brad Keselowski finishes third. Ryan Preece is a guy who he always sneaks up in the race and he'll get a top 10 out of it. He finishes fifth. Bubba Wallace has said had a drive in the from the back to finish sixth, and then Carson Hocevar finishes eighth, but not without controversy. And Austin Dillon gets 10th. Did you see the uh 38th crew member confronting Hocevar after?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the clip. I'm not going to say Hocevar was doing anything outside of the normal for one, but if anybody was to be mad at a driver, I would say Chase Briscoe was one to be upset with because I think he caused two wrecks.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he immediately apologized about that too, and
yeah,
he also said he never does stuff like that. Like
no.
Carson, this whole season has just been
I
thread the
think
needle everywhere.
yeah, and also I mean, I think the 38 crew's probably just upset with being wrecked past what 2 weeks now. And
They
it
got
not
wrecked
even
by
being there.
Christopher Bell, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, I think Hardistovar just doesn't have any grace in those situations at the moment, like Bell
not
and
right
Briscoe
now.
do. Um, but that's the thing. It's like Hocevar's having the same conversation that we're having that we had with Ross Chastain, where it's I like his aggression. It's not gone his way most of the time, but the couple times it goes his way, almost speaks louder than the times it doesn't. And people want to compare him to these old aggressive drivers, and I want him to be his own thing, but I like his aggression. We need an aggressive driver. I don't really like these, especially in these kind of races where Brad Keselowski said it, like there was such a problem with passing that people were really just running over people rather than just straight up passing. And I don't know. I think the product of the way this racing is why Hocevar was doing what he was doing. So if that's how you had to pass, he was going to do it. And yeah, had someone confront him about it. But yeah, we kind of already talked about the faults of Iowa. That was kind of my question for the comment. But let's just go ahead and get into something I want to do before the playoffs officially come. We're about what, 3 races out? We have Watkins Glen,
3 or 4
Richmond,
weeks.
and
Yeah.
Daytona, something like that. And so let's look at the bubble drivers. Let me pull it up on my phone because the one I have on here is not a an accurate one. So looking at the bubble, I'll just name off the three that don't have a win that are still locked in right now, which is Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, and Chase Busher. And then the three that I'll go all the way up to five. The five that are below the cut line, so 17th through 21st, is Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, and Brad Keselowski.
Hmm.
Do you think the three that are already locked in will stay in? Do you think we'll have a surprise winner? I would like to say Watkins Glen is a bit of a wild card. I mean, we saw Busher take on SVG last year, but we can also say that when SVG sees a track for the second time, he's even
He
more
figures
dangerous.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Um, that's a good question. I think the only
if
one that
if
stands
he
out to
didn't win
me would
Sonoma, I
be,
would be a bit more hopeful about Watkins Glen.
yeah, it's hard to say. I think Busher, maybe Keselowski have a good chance to do something. Maybe Daytona's the one race because Keselowski's been known to be really good at Daytona, Talladega.
Well, RFK in
So
general at Daytona is good.
has not had great luck.
Not
The
great luck, but like
60 seems to go on his lid a lot.
that's true. He's kind of like the modern day Ryan Newman. So
Yeah, no shit. Um, it's hard to say. I think Reddick's pretty locked in. Bowman's been really
yeah.
consistent lately, and I would say maybe Daytona gives you one kind of out of the blue winner
Yeah.
that the quote unquote dark horse, the one person that sneaks in would win Daytona. And but I think Reddick is pretty safe. I think I saw the points the other day, and he's like 144 above the cut line, right?
Reddick is pretty much locked in on points unless
Yeah,
he
even
just
if he doesn't
wrecks lap
win,
one for 3 races in a row.
right. So I think that if you're Reddick, you're feeling pretty good. You
Hmm.
don't have to win, but I think Brad or Busher might be the ones that could do something. I feel like Ty Gibbs, he's been pretty good at road courses. He could be maybe the one to win this weekend if things go his way. Kyle
Hmm.
Busch doesn't seem to have any luck recently.
But he is a
Um,
threat at Daytona. I mean, literally last year almost won it.
yeah, yeah, that's the one I keep kind of going back to for. I don't feel like Allmendinger really has had the speed. Maybe this weekend again, Allmendinger's a road course ringer. Kind of the
Yeah.
same thing with Ty Gibbs. It's like if things go his way, maybe it works out for him. But I think Tyler Reddick is for sure locked in, and then Bowman and who's the last one on the cutoff line?
Busher, and he's only plus 23. So there he's still mathematically could be edged out if, any of the I guess only Priest and really Priest is the only one that could probably push him out by points unless
Is
Busher's
Bowman, how many points up is Bowman?
63. And
So
he's
Reddick
consistent enough
and
to where
yeah,
he
Bowman and Reddick are pretty much locked in. So unless you win, unless we have three new winners, it seems like Reddick and Bowman are probably a lock.
Yeah, and I see Watkins Glen as a bit of a wild card, just given that there is more road course style people. And part of me thinks I was kind of looking ahead though for my predictions that I kind of have like a wild card as my prediction, just because part of me feels that the whole NASCAR garage is a bit envious of SVG and won't cut him anything at Watkins Glen. I feel like after Sonoma, especially, they're going to try and pin him down in a way.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he, in a way, he has not. I don't want to say embarrassed because it's not necessarily that, but I think NASCAR drivers are a bit more hungry to prove him wrong. And but I mean, we saw Chris Buescher beat him last year, so we have seen some non-traditional winners come through at Watkins Glen. And you can kind of say the same for Richmond, given Austin Dillon last year. Um, but Daytona is the true wild card race, like anyone can win it, as we saw last year. So that's I don't know. There's kind of an interesting, as always, interesting like way of looking at it. I kind of agree with you. I think there'll only be like out of the three, one new winner, and my prediction on that is going to be an RFK car that's not so either Priest or Brad K or Kyle Busch will pull through and win Daytona. I think Gibbs has a chance and Allgaier has a chance at Watkins Glen. They're both, like we said, good. But for one, Gibbs, I think is finally hitting good strides too late in the season to point his way in. I am not confident in him winning right now. And the same goes with Allmendinger. He's too inconsistent for points, and I don't trust colleagues' equipment right now with winning a race either. So Kyle Busch is one that he will slowly creep in, like Brad Keselowski. They both have great super speedway knowledge. Uh, Ryan Preece is good at super speedways, but he's the one that catches the lids. He he will just find himself upside down. But I feel like he is a good road course racer. But yeah, I think we're both kind of on the same page. I wouldn't be surprised if the three stay and no one really breaks in, but I think there's only going to be one. My bet would be one new winner by the end of the play or the regular season. So let's just go ahead and get into predictions then. And we have all three series this weekend, so you're going to be up in the Glen
Hmm.
for 2 days. But who's your truck? Yeah, well, I will say we have Zilich, Bell, and Busher going down to trucks this weekend. And I want to say
Don't
there's
care. Go Lane.
Go Lane. Yeah. Obviously, we both always pull for Lane, friend of the show. Sup, Lane? I'm sure he listens every week.
Maybe.
Uh, maybe. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, so you're going with Lane for trucks. I'm going to go with Chris Buescher.
Okay.
I chose Buescher before Zilich was announced, but um, yeah, I want to see him pull it off in trucks. So, um, although he's in the 66 Tricon truck. I don't know what that equipment's like. And I think Zillage is in the
66. You said
yeah,
us Thor
66.
Sport.
Thorsport. Again, that's two other teams I get mixed up a lot. Um, but then Zillage is in, I think, the 42 replacing Honeycutt. Um,
I did see that.
yeah, and then Bell is in Friesman's truck. And so
It's freezing. It's not Friesman.
it should be Friesman. I've been to Canada. I haven't, but
It is freezing up there.
yeah.
Yeah, Stuart Friesen.
Friesen. Sorry, Stuart. Get well soon.
Yeah,
Xfinity. You
Xfinity.
got SVG. You have McDowell. I'm trying to remember the other. I think there's like one more maybe coming down, but Oh yeah, you also Zilich, who's right there. I mean, when we talk about road course people, Sam Mayer, I think is a good wild card pick just off of motivation alone. Um, Not
Yeah, I
motivation,
agree.
but
Yeah, I'll go with
momentum.
Connor. He won there last year in the 88, so he
Yeah,
might try to back go two-peat it.
I'm kind of hoping for another Sonoma showdown. Like I'm looking out of all the races this weekend, I'm looking forward to Xfinity the most because no matter what, I think if it comes out to be the way Sonoma was, we're going to see like a really good battle between SVG and Zillage. So I'm not going to complain about that. Um, yeah, I had McDowell until I looked at the entry list and saw that SVG will be in the 9 car. So my pick is SVG and then McDowell as a wild card, just because I would love to see McDowell drive it to victory lane and prove his worth. But I don't think the Xfinity Series will treat SVG. I mean, they could, but they'll treat SVG like the Cup Series, like I'm predicting. So let's
Gotta
get
remember
into
turn one, the Glen, man,
that's
under a
what I'm saying.
restart,
A
people
restart
get
late in the race.
punted.
Yeah, I think
It might be from
people.
like 4 rows back, but chain reaction.
I think you have a lot of drivers in there who secretly are a bit like, I'm gonna take back the throne. I don't think Elliott's one of those people, but I do think there are some people who, if they're close to SVG, they're not going to cut him a break going into turn one late in the race because they know he will get away too quickly if that's the way the race is going. And so I think there's enough context to know that SVG is going to be, don't let him get away. So. Yeah. But my wild card pick for, as I said earlier, is Bowman. And that's because I believe that there will be some contact, some cars will be ruined. And Alex Bowman, I believe, at these road courses is always quietly clean and comes home like in a top 10 and sometimes top five position. And I think we kind
Yeah,
of
it's a
saw
good
the
pick.
same thing at Chicago, where it's just like he kept it clean and he was there. And
And happen to win.
I kind of think that maybe this will fall into his lap in a way. So, who's your
Oh,
cup pick?
hmm. I'm gonna go with that's a tough one. I'm trying to think who I would really like to see win. I might go with
Jeff Gordon.
Old Chase Elliott,
Chase Elliott. I would, you know, who else would like to see Chase Elliott win?
your
Lindsay.
wife.
Yeah. She came home from her road trip and Chase was in like second and competing for first. And she was like, yeah. And then like she came back in the room after I think he pitted or
Was it
something. She was,
a cycle under pit road?
I think so. She's like, "What happened?" It's
Poor
funny though.
Lindsay.
She gets on such a high and such a low, and I used to be that way, but now I've learned to kind of like level it out. It'll be like, Chase or Larson, who are my two drivers. They'll be like in first, but with 60 to go, and I'm like, okay, there might be a caution here, or there will be something. I'm already like trying to like move on from it and be like, okay, this is not a guarantee. And so then when the win happens, I'm still just as excited, but if they lose it, I'm already moving on to the next week. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I guess we will see what happens at the Glen. Hopefully, it's a good day for both Lane and Jeremy.
Heck
And
yeah.
yeah, hopefully, does he have pretty good results at Watkins Glen?
Um,
This is my
I
favorite road
can't
course, by the way. I love racing on
I
this
can't
track.
remember off the top of my head how good he is. I know he's an overall pretty good road course racer, as long as the car didn't have issues.
Yeah, that's a car. That's a track I want to go to. Is the Glen? I've heard it's kind of cool. Isn't it like in like a small town, essentially?
Sort of. Yeah, it's very hilly. It's in the mountains
Yeah,
of New York,
it's
the hills.
as I've talked about before. Whenever I play my Forza games, or even when I played NASCAR Heat 5, which man, I am looking forward to NASCAR 25. Um, yeah, the Watkins Glen is always a track I just love to race at. But yeah, real quick touch on NASCAR 25. I am looking forward to that game. I don't care about a lot of the things that
When does
people
it
are
come
going
out?
October, I want to say.
Really?
Yeah, they're not doing a lot of like promotion for it right now, which is kind of fun. Like they released like one video trailer for it, and it was like William Byron coming out of turn whatever at Bristol, and that was it. And people were complaining about it, but like there's some people are complaining about very little things, in my opinion. What I am most excited for is competence within the game, and then also the career mode. And for someone that doesn't really want to play NASCAR online or doesn't want to pay for it, I should say, because of Xbox, but like the career mode is something I look forward to. If it's anything close to what NASCAR Thunder days were, especially like 2005, 2006, man, would I be excited. The fact that you could like customize and make your own prices for your merch in those games was crazy when I look back on it.
I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah, that's like getting detailed, but you know the track that I always think about now is the one that was in like a football stadium and like the pit road was in like a tunnel. I don't know if you remember that. I can't remember the
I
name of
think I
it for
remember
the
that. Yeah, it was
yeah.
like the Wheel and Modified series or something
Yeah.
racing it.
Yeah, it was so cool. Well, that and then also like I think it was the Old Spice Road Course one that also kind of had like a tunnel pit road. Those tracks, update the graphics, put them in the new one. I want to see
Bring it
it.
back.
Yeah, bring it back. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. And I know you already have iRacing, so you're kind of content with the Big Brother version. Uh,
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
yeah. But yeah, again, hope the Glen is good to you, and hopefully the racing is good. I'm not expecting much out of it, not because of SVG, but because Glenn in the past couple of years hasn't produced great racing. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll see. Let's hope for better. But
Hell yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you next week.
Sounds good, man.
10
Catch you
away.
later.
5, 4, 3,